A short video this time on my 5-string telly. I think I mentioned in a previous video. It's just I broke a string on a gig, and I guess I'm that lazy. I don't know. It's sad. Man, I'm just couldn't be more thrilled about my new rig. Anyway, I was gonna say something that a comment sort of brought up the other day, which is, you remember how? Well, I'll start with this. The stammering, you know, like when I'll start a sentence and then decide, oh, it should go this other way. That's the ugly downside of just how off the cuff these videos are. Anyway, faster you play, the more, this is just, I mean, this seems to me as more or less, you know, just obviously true. The faster you play, the less intentionality you're going to have behind every note choice. And the more you're naturally going to rely on muscle memory, you know, whether you want to or not. I don't have that. My lighting game is crap. So, I've got the shadow over here. The more you're going to rely on muscle memory, right? I mean, you can't at a certain speed. I mean, we're more or less the same machine. Even the most brilliant people among us aren't going to be able to think so quickly that on their really fast licks, they're making a bunch of sequential, intentional decisions, right? So the faster you play, the more you are reliant on muscle memory. That's just the limit of our machine, the way it seems to me. But I've never seen Limitless. I'm not entirely sure that's what Limitless is about. I watch fewer movies than anybody. I would watch Billy Madison for the 9 millionth time right now, but I see very few movies. I mainly know Limitless because it was a part of Hannibal Buress joke. So, and then ever since Norm Macdonald died, Hannibal Buress has been upgraded to my favorite comedian in the world. So, okay, so the faster you play, the more you're relying on muscle memory. That's just the RAM space in our machine, right? That's just the way it's gonna go. Man, everybody's texting me. So beware what you program into your muscle memory. You are always programming muscle memory. You're always programming your fast licks. Okay, let me give a little example of this. Did you ever, last video, I think, or 2 videos ago, whenever, obviously not last video was about writing, but, whatever this series is called, I Think You Should Leave, or whatever. Since I'm invisible, the last one, or maybe 2 ago, I mentioned something, I don't remember what brought it up, but some 80s instructional guitar video, right? But I think many of us would think that sort of the low point of fast playing, as far as the least hip fast playing that ever happened in rock guitar, was probably some of the 80s players. Not some of them. I mean, Yngwie's awesome. I'll fight anybody over that. Yngwie's awesome. But some of those players, their fast licks were so profoundly predictable. As one magazine article back in the day once said, you always knew what the next note was. And you know, and some of the sort of shreddier jazz players, I mean, Al Di Meola's fast licks sometimes were like that. I was surprised because sometimes he would play some really hip stuff, and other times it was just what a friend of mine called clarinet recital. Just really just super, really predictable stuff. Some of the 80s dudes really had, I think, the most rudimentary fast licks, right? Where there was a basic pattern and they more or less followed it ad infinitum, and but years ago I got to thinking about the 80s videos that I saw, the 80s instructional videos, and I won't name names with the couple that I had growing up, but those videos from kind of the Musicians Institute crew, I know that they're way hipper now, but a lot of the 80s rock players from GIT is what it was called back then. They those videos, they would say, here's a 3-note per string exercise. Here's a picking exercise that does it. Here's a legato exercise. Cue earlier video of mine what legato actually is, but and they were just this basic sequence, and they would do them to their logical end, which was, I don't know, the end of once you did an octave or when you ran out of frets or whatever. And from the sound of it, but also there are corroborating evidences here that it sure seemed like some of those players, what they sat around playing when they picked up a guitar was picking exercises and 3-note per string exercises and exercises. That's all they ever played from the sound of it. And no wonder their fast licks sounded so rudimentary, right? Because you're always programming muscle memory. You're always programming muscle memory, right? Muscle memory, some of you here already know where I'm going with this. By definition, muscle memory is a habit, right? And you're always programming habits. No, maybe not always. I don't know exactly how it works, but through intentional repeated action, you're programming habits. So beware the things that you program into your muscle memory. If you want hip lines, don't sit around constantly playing stupid lines. When you know your scale, don't sit around practicing scales. That one befuddles me. Why people some people will constantly practice their scales up and down, or I don't know if it's for their picking chops or whatever. Find hipper stuff to play. Come up with back to creating your own style. That video. Come up with your own things to play. Things that you would think this would be really killer if I could play it fast. Well, play that thing over and over, because that's the thing you'll get fast, right? You're always programming muscle memory. Be careful what you program. Don't program in really idiotic stuff that you wouldn't want to hear yourself play, right? Because your fast licks are going to be the things that you play the most. Your fast licks are going to be the things that you play the most. Make sure you play really cool stuff the most, right? Yeah, that's it. That's actually the whole video. You know what? Here's a random other thing. Okay, here I made reference to this. I should probably have 6 strings on my guitar. Will somebody come over and change the strings on my guitar, please? I am, yeah. Check this out. Okay, when people go, learn your inversions, and they go, and they do things like that, or they'll do the little, right? They'll do these subsets of entire cage shapes and call those inversions. Let me show you inversions, right? Let me show you inversions. Root position, first inversion, whoops. Second inversion, first inversion, root position, second inversion, first inversion, second inversion. I'm an idiot. Here in the D shape, that's first inversion. Guess what? That's second inversion. Guess what? That's root position. By the way, in case you're new to what inversions are, how inversions are referred to, it's if the root of a chord is in the bass, then that's root position, right? That's so when we just say G, that's root position G. But if we say G over B, that's first inversion, because the third is in the bass. That's what makes it first inversion. Second inversion is when the fifth is in the bass. Third inversion is when the seventh is in the bass, but you may not use that too much. I mean, there's one really cool one, like 5 over 4. It's like 1 over 3. Anyway, the inversions are in every cage shape. So look, D shape, I really should have a 6-string guitar. Second inversion, the third is in the bass, first inversion. Here's root position. All right, root position, first inversion, second inversion. All it takes to be an inversion is for the bass note to be different. These random shapes that are very inefficient ways of learning this stuff. You should just play inversions from whatever cage shape you are, or think of inversions. In other words, all what I just said, all that's required for something to be an inversion is the bass note is different. You know what that means for your band? It means it doesn't apply to you. If I play this and the bass player plays B, then that's G. I'm playing G over B. I'm playing a G, he's playing a B, the band is playing G over B, right? So I'm not even the bass player, right? And if he plays 5, then we're playing G over D, right? If I'm doing a solo gig, then I have to handle the inversions, right? Whoever's the lowest thing in the band, that's who's determining whether you're all doing an inversion or not. If I do G over B and the bass player plays G, then I'm playing a G, right? Or we're playing a G, which is really all that matters, right? Now, okay, I was in a recording session, and years ago, I was playing a G. The chord was G over B, and I was like, just let the bass player play it. And played it. And the producer stopped it and was like, hey, that's supposed to be G over B. And I was like, So I played it in the recording, and sure enough, it did sound like a better G over B. So, but that was only because I was down low. I think I was on acoustic. So the further low you go, the more you should perhaps consider, making sure you are playing the inversion. But if I'm, playing up here or wherever, somewhere, then it's really the bass player's game, right? Whether I'm playing inversion. But do inversions from within a position. Be able to do, think of all your inversions within a position. In other words, all I'm doing is playing the same shape, and I'm just changing which note is my bottom note. That's all it is. It's the danger of kind of knowing a little bit of theory, but it's kind of piecemeal. Those guitar teachers are kind of poison the well for the rest of us, right? That sort of piecemeal knowledge of theory. This goes back to, I think, 18 videos ago, or somewhere back there. No, it must have been one of the theory videos, so I don't remember where that was. Where the better you know theory, the simpler it is, right? In other words, you learn everything in the fewest lines of code, right? But it's a code that you understand theory in a way that covers every possibility, and it's very clear, it's very simple. The people teaching us inversions as random shapes that you don't recognize, instead of just caged with the bottom note changing, that's what I'm advocating here. You're just thinking caged, you're just changing the bottom note, right? It's a far better way of thinking of it. It doesn't lead you by the hand to misunderstand what inversions are, and it covers every possibility, right? So whereas this, let's face it, that leaves a bunch of possible voicings of inversions on off the table, on bass. I'm going to a Rangers game tomorrow. Texas Rangers. muscle memory, right? I mean, there's just a certain type of thing that I sat around playing, you know, and that stuff comes more or less automatic, right? 2 topics in one, just to get the video up. Anybody who's still here, I appreciate some of the notes I get about why isn't this page blown up yet, and such, and those are very nice. It's not that much of a concern to me. I've kind of let that go. But if you care about such a thing, it'll blow up when you guys start showing your friends the videos. You know, I seem perfectly powerless to make anything blow up. Yeah. I'll do another writing video. I'll do writing part 2 soon. I remembered what it was that I forgot. Anyway, some of you haven't watched that. So anyway, back to playing. You want to see my rig? So I know I showed this in the writing video. It's these Sir Bella cabs and a Boogie power amp, and I'm going back and forth between the Tone Master Pro and the Quad Cortex because they're both awesome. They're both really cool. So anyway, it's beautiful sound. Cool. Write any questions you have in the comments. Bye.